Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Second video of the day. Let's get right to it. Now ladies and gentlemen, this may be about Europe specifically, but this is not just if you live in Europe. You should be preparing and stocking up for the day when the things that you normally rely on are not available. After shutting down thousands of farms, European governments are warning about a future food crisis as food insecurity worsens. And I'm sure that these leaders are going to blame it on everything except for the repercussions of the decisions that they made on your behalf. Not for you, but for them. Remember that, because they will not suffer because of their policies. Only the people that they represent will suffer. Trust me, whenever there is a food shortage, in whatever quantity it may be, take a look at some other countries where there was food shortages. Those people that actually write and implement the policies, are they going hungry? No, ladies and gentlemen, and it's the same thing here. I mean, look at what they said just in the beginning. After shutting down thousands of farms, EU government officials recently convened with food security experts to devise a plan to handle a potential food crisis. Man, it's like they did this to themselves, and we are doing it to ourselves here in the US. It's just going a little bit slower. The question no longer appears to be whether such a scenario will come to pass, but rather how soon Europeans can expect it. The possibility that Europe might experience a major food crisis has become so likely that 60 EU government officials gathered to carry out a simulation of what could occur and work on policies that can help respond to such a crisis. Hegelian dialectic, anyone? With videos depicting floods, droughts, and civil unrest to drive home what is at stake, experts were warned to expect a level of chaos. And of course, it's been said that once a population has to spend 40% or more of what they earn on food, that they start getting very upset and doing bad things. We are seeing signs of an impending food crisis around the world, with a series of geopolitical and weather events all piling up to create the perfect storm for a major food crisis. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, this is not by design. This is not what they want. Instead, they take one of the places around the world that produces the most food and they feed it ammunition so that they can continue to throw projectiles at each other. Let's put it that way. As part of their simulations, the government officials envisioned a scenario where there are numerous harvest failures in 2025 that affect the price of animal feed, stunting and production of livestock and fish, while ships bring crops from Europe in favor of higher bidders in other parts of the world. At the same time, limits on palm oil exports in Asia could reduce the supplies of a range of daily staples to include bread. Now, who's really going to suffer because of a food shortage? It's going to be those poorer countries, because let's say, for example, that in Europe there is some kind of a food shortage. Well, what they're going to do is they're going to go out to the free market, right? They're going to go out to the free market and they're going to bid up the price on other things, and poorer countries that can't afford it will starve. I'll read this last bit and then I will leave the link to this so that you can revisit it later on if you like. The simulation also noted how such a scenario could sow civil unrest, particularly as hungry and fed up Europeans push back against corporate greed, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the policies that these politicians passed, it's corporate greed. Eventually, they envision thieves starting to loot supermarkets later in 2025, with police struggling to keep rioters under control, livestock farmers going bankrupt, and German shoppers unable to find meat or fish in grocery stores. And instead of trying to help these people now, the farmers, the fishermen, etc., so that this does not come to be, what do? They spend all of these billions of pounds, I would say, in the EU to do what? To send munitions to other countries so that they can tear their land up even more. And the scary part, ladies and gentlemen, is this next part. How do they envision getting out of this scenario? They made this crisis. Now they're going to come and say, hey, this is how we get out of it. They use role-playing activities to workshop policies related to building reserves of food, crisis management, and food provision. Crisis management and food provision. police state, and rationing. Their activities also raise some important questions such as how to reduce Europe's over-reliance on crop imports such as soy for feeding the dairy and meat industry. They have done exactly what they are now asking to fix. They're getting rid of farmers and ranchers, and they're saying here, such as how to reduce Europe's over-reliance. Well, you would not be reliant on anyone else if you would just let your farmers and ranchers do what they do. So stock up, ladies and gentlemen, because I've said it before, in your lifetime, you will need to use your preps. What will happen when they give the green light to millions of radicals to cause widespread chaos all over America? The video that I put up earlier today, I think I started it saying something like, get prepared in every way possible. Don't only prepare for a food shortage, prepare to defend yourselves, your families, and your properties as well, ladies and gentlemen, because there are millions and millions of people in the United States, and of that 10 million or so chunk that have entered here unlawfully, there's probably a very good portion of those that don't like the United States of America and that are probably here to do bad things. Violence and crime are already completely out of control all over the United States. Not even Hollywood could have dreamed up such a dystopian nightmare that every major U.S. city is going to turn into. The more people that are congregated in a city, the more people, the worse it's going to be. So if you live in a very crowded area, man, I've been saying this for years. Hopefully some people have listened. Go ahead and get out of there if you can. Do the best that you can, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you can do. And here they say that if things are this bad already, what is going to happen if the contest in November does not go the way that leaders on the left want, and they give the green light to millions of radicals to cause widespread chaos all over America? And he says, I think we got a small preview of that during the chaos that occurred in 2020. Unfortunately, since that time, the open border policy of the Biden administration have allowed millions of extremely desperate people to come pouring into this country. The stage is being set for civil unrest on a scale that we have never seen before, and it certainly isn't going to take much to push our society over the edge. What do you think about that, ladies and gentlemen? Are you all preparing for civil unrest? Are you all prepared and trained and ready to protect your household, your family members, your preps? Just look at what is happening in New York City. Crime in the subway system is so bad that the governor has decided to call in the National Guard, and now in New York City, it truly does look like a police state. And listen to this. It's so bad in Oakland, California, that Taco Bell restaurants have been forced to suspend indoor dining indefinitely after being subjected to a series of robberies amid an unrelenting crime surge in the city. It may not be easy for a lot of people to admit, but we are rapidly becoming a third world country. And I've stated that time and time again. Why? Not because I want it to be, but because it is. Theft is absolutely rampant in America today. Organized retail crimes have become a multi-billion-dollar industry in the United States. Have you ever thought about what their plan will be when the people have had enough of the government giving our resources to people that came here unlawfully? Ladies and gentlemen, think about this. That's when they're going to come out with a social credit system or some kind of a digital ID that has a CBDC and a social credit system tied to it. And what will be their excuse? Well, if they don't belong here and they don't have an electronic ID, then they can't get any services. And people are going to be saying, oh, okay, cool. And they may even entice some to take on a UBI, Universal Basic Income, saying, yeah, go ahead and accept this digital currency, accept this digital ID. You'll get a little bit of extra money every month. You can spend it however you want. And those people that shouldn't be getting any benefits, they can't get this because they're not in the system. That's probably how they'll entice people to take it. Just like here, Canada is rolling out a social credit system. Citizens' bank accounts link to obedience scores. Imagine that, ladies and gentlemen, that we are getting to a time. At least if you live in Canada, please let me know if this has validity or not. But we're living in a time where governments are actually going to be grading your obedience. Our neighbors to the north, to my south, are implementing a new system called open banking that will link citizens' bank accounts to a new social credit scoring system. Why would anyone be okay with this? In the aftermath of the trucker convoy and other noteworthy protests against the health crisis tyranny in Canada, the Justin Trudeau regime is radicalizing the nation's banking system to make it much harder for citizens to express their voices against political corruption. And they say that proponents of the social credit score linked banking paradigm say it will make Canadian banks more inclusive, of course, allowing them to easily access user data on demand while being able to share information with one another. People are so programmed now that all you have to say, inclusivity, equity, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll do it. Incredible. A World Bank partner called Open Banking Excellence, which originated in the United Kingdom, is proudly boasting right now that it will incorporate social credit scores with people's banking information in Canada. Canadians will likely receive digital cash and identification in a convenient, all-in-one and inclusive place. Ladies and gentlemen, it's for your convenience. You're going to receive all of that stuff all in one. It's about having the fairer, more inclusive, more open society, said OBE founder Helen Child, making sure to use all of the popular buzzwords to make her project sound like the dream come true of the world, except that it's not going to be a dream come true. It's going to be a nightmare. And we'll finish it off with this one because this seems to be pretty important. Dangerous levels of toxins are being found in General Mills' loaded cereal. A new report is raising concern over General Mills' new cereal line after testing revealed that Trix loaded cereals is literally loaded with high levels of heavy metals and agrochemicals. Incredible. The artificially flavored cream-filled breakfast food also contains measurable levels of aluminum, cadmium, arsenic, lead, glyphosate, and pesticides shown to be harmful to humans. Pesticides found in General Mills Trix loaded cereals, you can see down there. You can try to read them if you like. I'm not going to try it. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave the link to all of these articles on a pinned comment so that you can revisit them if you like. Other than that, I hope that you have a great rest of your Sunday. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.